to another episode of Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. I am Bean, and today is Christmas Day, 2025. And I would just like to say, for those who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to those. To those who don't, still have a great day and have a great New Year. Today, I want to talk about a couple different interviews, a Wilder interview, an interview with Shakur Stevenson, and some other stuff. So please hit that thumbs up button, please. Hit thumbs up when you come into the chat. So if you follow me on my other social media, please follow me on my Twitter page. I'm going to be on Twitter a lot more. I want to reiterate that every time I get a chance. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok. I will be on Facebook and IG time to time, but I'm going to be really trying to be on Twitter and TikTok a lot more. All right. So, Cam J, what's going on, cuzzo? Merry Christmas to you. And speaking of that, man, I gotta shout out Cam J. There is a talking point I'm gonna bring up here shortly about something I seen on on my fam's podcast, Cam J Network. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about that as well. So actually, we'll go ahead and start off with that point of view right now. So Shakur Stevenson recently did an interview on YouTube, The Art of Dialogue. Now, as Cam J was saying, and I have been following Art of Dialogue in the past because he caters to the hip hop scene a little bit more. But when you look at hip hop and the music and boxing, it's all entertainment. And people like Jay Prince, who are the head of the record company, Rap A Lot, he also has his hands tied in with boxing. So it all kind of comes somewhat full circle. But we're going to talk about the Shakur Stevenson interview just a little bit, about a recent interview he did on Art of Dialogue. One of the things he brought up is Keyshawn Davis being his quote unquote brother, that's not a fight that's going to happen. And he says because he values their friendship and he knows that he's very competitive and he's not going to lose pretty much. So if he fights Keyshawn Davis and beats him, as he said he would because he's competitive, he can see their relationship backsliding. He don't feel like the relationship would ever be the same if he beat Keyshawn Davis in a fight. So I want to know y'all opinion on that. Would you agree with that? Can you be a friend of a fighter, even somebody you might even call a brother, and then still be cool after the fact? I'll bring up one point. Deontay Wilder and Malik Scott. They are brothers. Although they fought, although Wilder knocked him out though it may be a controversial knockout that people try to say it was, still Wilder and Malik Scott did get in the ring together and fight. Not too long ago, Malik Scott was a trainer of Deontay Wilder. Well, although he's no longer the trainer of Wilder, they still have a brother relationship. So I don't think I can go with that from Shakur Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? That you're trying to play that card that, oh, this is my brother. You could fight him because at the end of the day, y'all should look at it like this. You're giving him an opportunity. He's giving you an opportunity. You're getting the bag. He's getting the bag. So y'all looking out for each other and y'all going to break bread together as brothers and still get that respect after the fight, dap it up, hug him or whatever. Boom, there it is. You could still have a fight with somebody you consider to be your brother. In my strong opinion. Now, he also talked about, and I want to bring up this point, shout out to Cam J again. Cam J brought this up, right? So, you know how Shakur said he got on the phone with Tafime and they made the fight happen after, you know, it was a strong possibility that they may fight each other. You know, everything's kind of circulating. Tafime Lopez, Shakur Stevenson. It's in the airwaves real strong. Well, according to Shakur, on Art of Dialogue, he said that he took the initiative and then eventually he calls either Tafime or their teams that talked or something to that extent, and they make the fight happen. So where I'm trying to get at is this, to Cam J's point. Did he have the same energy with Tank Davis? He was willing to go on all these different platforms on YouTube, different podcasts and stuff like that, and you hear Shakur saying, Tank Davis this is the dream fight. Tank Davis here. Whether he's on Cigar Talk, whether he's on Art of Dialogue, whether he's on, just for instance, I don't know if he was, but say he was on the Porter podcast, Sean Porter. All these different interviews, he's bringing up Tank Davis. So why could you not push the issue in the same way you're pushing the issue to fight Tafime Lopez? Did you use that same energy to want to fight Tank Davis? Is the question that was being presented. And like I said, that was a very good point by Cam J. So let me know y'all response in the chat room, because here I try to keep it I try to keep a rationale to what I say. And if I stand to be corrected, you know, say it in the chat room. That's fine. But I just want to know y'all opinion on that aspect there. So Wilder did an interview with Cigar Talk with Najee. And he said the mindset he had when he stepped in the ring was this. When he's looking at his opponent, he was looking at it like, I don't need money for flossing to have a nice whip. I don't need money to go to a strip bar or something like that. The money I'm getting, and I'm looking at my opponent across from me, is the money I need to take care of my daughter who has a rare condition called spina bifida. So in that regards, even though I'm not necessarily a Deontay Wilder fan, I do highly respect what he did for his daughter. Being a man, to take care of his daughter like he did, and to know she was special needs with her rare condition, and to be willing to fight and make a good purse and have financial stability to take care of her doctor bills. So, like I said, salute to Deontay Wilder for sure in that regard, because he was thinking more of bigger than himself. He was thinking of his daughter. You know what I'm saying? So, high respects for Deontay Wilder, Bomb Squad on that. Now, he also mentioned in this interview, he talked about the betrayal. He spoke on that a few times before in the past. He talks about betrayal, I guess, in the inner circle. He doesn't necessarily all the time drop a lot of names, but he'll just say it's a betrayal, and stuff like that. Um, Cam J, you said Wilder one of one in the sport. Now, speaking of Wilder, let's just talk about the fact that the potential showdown with him and Usyk. And this is something I hollered at my other guy about, Rob Elmore. Shout out to my dude Rob Elmore in Las Vegas. Um, I like the fight. I know some people say, well, Usyk is this skilled, which he is. And true enough, Fury may have beat Wilder, right? And then Usyk beats Fury and Wilder. I mean, Usyk didn't fight Wilder, but Usyk beats AJ and Dubois. But Wilder loses to Fury, but then Fury loses to Usyk. Like we said, ain't no triangle theories in this. Ain't no triangle theory. Each opponent and each fight has its own significance. Each style matchup has its own significance. Now with Usyk and Wilder is that if you look at it for what it is, Wilder was always a smaller heavyweight. He had the height, but he wasn't a big guy as far as weight wise. And I think he only picked up extra weight and bulked up because he knew that Tyson Fury was going to try to lean on him after seeing how he did in their second fight. He knew the rough tactics, the borderline dirty tactics that Steve Cunningham also talked about in his interview. Because remember, Steve Cunningham fought Wilder. And he was only like 208 pounds, a cruiserweight. So imagine Wilder only weighing roughly 215. He might have bulked up to like 236 when he fought Fury in their final fight, in the third fight. But let's look at a Wilder being at his true fighting weight. If Wilder's about 220, 225, 225, best believe Usyk is going to be close in that same range. Usyk is going to weigh about 225. So him and Wilder's weight going to be very, very close at heavyweight, give or take 5 pounds. They're going to both weigh roughly 225, 227 when they fight. That is actually to, in my opinion, that is going to be a plus and a benefit to Wilder, because Wilder being smaller, he's not like AJ, 250 pounds of bulk muscle, and if he swings and misses, he's going to, he starts to gas out as he swinging that air because Usyk's a mover. Wilder is the type that doesn't punch a whole lot. He doesn't use a lot of high volume punching, but it just takes that one shot with Wilder. So if Wilder can close that gap, which he does have some level of athleticism, he's tall and rangy, and he has those type of twitch muscles, kind of like a heavyweight version of Tommy the Hitman Hearns. If Wilder can line up Usyk, and we know he's going to go for the knockout at some point, but if Wilder can go to the body some, if he can go to the body a little bit on Usyk, I think he can have some level of success against Usyk. And like I said, the fact that he's a smaller heavyweight is actually going to benefit Deontay Wilder when he fights Usyk. And the things that Fury did to Wilder, Usyk is not going to do. Fury was using the fact that he's the bigger man, the taller man, headlock and leaning on Wilder to drain him, to take away his legs. Usyk cannot overpower Wilder in the way that Tyson Fury did because they're going to be about the same weight. So in the clinch, Wilder won't have to deal with being drained and his legs struggling to stay underneath him when he fights Usyk. So that's why I say styles make fights, because each approach to each style is going to be different than a different person. The things Fury does are not the way that Usyk operates. Usyk's a whole different style. He relies on his speed, lateral movement. The fact that he is smaller gives him an edge because he's quicker. But like I said, he's not going to be able to get off the rough tactics that Deontay Wilder had to suffer when he fought Tyson Fury, because he won't have to rely and deal with somebody who's going to be leaning on Wilder. Wilder won't have to deal with that. So, this fight could actually be really, really interesting for real. It could be really, really interesting fight. Now, Usyk is a southpaw, of course. So, in this sense, it could work against him, because a lot of right-hand fighters know how to go straight down the pipe and catch that southpaw guy. So if Wilder can be on his pivot, in there mentally strong, Usyk could really have a problem. And Wilder's punch release is pretty fast as well. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's another dynamic and another thing that could be like, whoa, you know what I mean? Just that fast, he's catching you. You know what I'm saying? But I think he definitely needs to go to the body of Usyk some, and whenever he can, dig to his body. Because a right hand from Wilder, imagine what he's been doing when he's catching his opponents. But if he goes to the body of his opponent, that could cause a lot of damage too. And you will want that anyway with Usyk. He's a mover. So you want to go to the body of a mover. So if he can employ certain tactics, devise a certain game plan, Wilder will have a decent shot at landing his Hail Mary. You know what I'm saying? And that would definitely shake up the heavyweight division for sure. It would definitely shake up the heavyweight division for sure. Now I do got to bring this up. In the closing, like the closing last quarter of Cigar Talk, Wilder did mention, Najee did ask about Anthony Joshua. Now, on Wilder's side of his story is that he wanted to make the fight happen. AJ ran back to Eddie Hearn about something. It's kind of like a lot of the same stuff that we heard in the past before. He talked about the 50 million, this, that, and the other. Okay, I get it. But to me, what made it look bad on Wilder's behalf is sometimes certain things are better left unsaid. Now, Wilder at first, if you look at his old interviews, even if you go back, he was saying stuff like, we never received an offer. I never got no offer from Anthony Joshua or 258 management, the management of Anthony Joshua or whatever. But then, when you really wanted to fight with Fury in that third fight, you went on Twitter saying that I turned down an Anthony Joshua lucrative fight so I could fight you, Tyson Fury. You owe me this third fight. So how do you go from no offer was ever made, but then go to Twitter and say, I turned down an AJ fight because Fury, you owe me a third fight? That wasn't a good look. That makes it look like Wilder was contradicting himself. And he never went back and cleared that up. But it's on Twitter. You can go Google it. So to me, that's the only problem I had mainly with Wilder was like, dag man, why would you say no offer was made, but then turn around and say I turned down the AJ fight when you felt some type of way because Fury was trying to pull out that third fight, and then Wilder took him to arbitration, and and actually that third fight ended up being probably the best fight of the trilogy, really. And let's just talk about the last couple opponents of Wilder and Usyk. Wilder's last fight, if I'm not mistaken, was Tyrell Herndon. To be fair, he was probably shaking off the ring rust or whatever. Eventually, he stops Herndon. Prior to that fight, he fights Zhilei Zhang and was stopped. And I know he fought Parker. I don't know if it was right before Zhang, but he fought Parker. And he lost that by unanimous decision. Usyk fought Dubois, which he stopped him a lot earlier in the rematch than he did in the first fight. Of course, he beat Fury and AJ twice. So as of late, they both have fought some good names. Zhilei Zhang for Wilder, Joseph Parker for Wilder. Those are two strong names. Usyk, AJ, Fury, and Dubois, number three strong names. So I like this fight, man. I like this fight. I like this fight. Usyk and Deontay Wilder. Plus another thing about Wilder. Fury was on the front foot coming in and pushing him on his back foot. Usyk doesn't use that. He doesn't apply that type of pressure. He's going to laterally move. He's going to stick in move. And even when he's hitting Wilder, those punches have to have effect on Wilder. And Wilder can take a decent punch, to be fair. Wilder, Zhang's a big hitter. So, of course, if Zhang catches anybody, he can knock him out. If he caught Dubois, if Zhang caught Dubois or AJ with that same punch that he hit Wilder with, they're going to fall. So let me keep that real. But what I'm saying is that the fact that Usyk is punching in bunches and at weird angles, I just wonder how Deontay Wilder is going to deal with that because, like I said, he can take a punch. So Usyk is going to have to do something meaningful to make Wilder respect him. And Wilder's going to be coming for him that whole from the beginning bell to however long this fight go. Wilder's coming for him, and he knows this. Usyk gonna know this. So it's definitely a intriguing fight matchup, man. I want to see it. I do want to see it. And then if Wilder did beat Usyk, he still has done something that, especially if he knocks him out, he has done something that nobody else has done. He'll be the first person to have knocked out Usyk. So that's that as far as that goes. Now, speaking of heavyweights, there was something that Frank Warren had said in regards to Anthony Joshua in an interview he did. So Frank Warren says, he's speaking of Anthony Joshua. If he wants to jump back in, then there you go. Fabio Wardley, another guy who has had no amateur experience. You said you want to fight for a world title. So that's Frank Warren's message to AJ. I personally don't think AJ needs to be sucked into a banana peel because he found that type of situation out when he fought Daniel Dubois. It's definitely a situation where I thought AJ, being a little bit more experienced, that he was going to land first on Dubois, that he would be a little more defensively sound, but he dropped the ball in many areas when he fought Dubois. Walking back in a straight line with his guard down, he just made a lot of amateur and terrible mistakes, and that's why he got caught with that overhand from Daniel Dubois. But it seems to me it's weird, like with Frank Warren, with his energy is like he always want to see AJ lose so bad. It's almost like you don't want to see AJ fight Tyson Fury. So then you want to throw somebody else out there. So now you want to bring up Fabio Wardley because you know he's on a high from stopping Parker, and then he beat Justice Huey. So now you want to say, oh, well, AJ, you could fight Fabio Wardley. It's like, bro, let him be great. Let him get a tune-up fight, just like Tyson Fury will get one in 2026. Let him get light touches and let him fight in 2026. Stop trying to throw possible banana skin at AJ. You know what I'm saying? Fabio Wardley is a high risk fight still. If anything, let it be done in a certain decent order. Let AJ fight Fury and then fight maybe Fabio Wardley or Ajit Kabiel. Guys like that. Daniel Dubois rematch. But let him fight Fury first. Don't set him up for failure to where he could lose. That's just like saying with Tyson Fury. If Tyson Fury is going to fight AJ in the next fight or two, the last thing you want to do is give him a what should be a tune-up, but then you give him somebody who can mess it up. Or let's just say that. Give Tyson Fury. Why not get Tyson Fury Fabio Wardley? Does that make sense to have Tyson Fury fight Fabio Wardley before a shot at AJ? Would it make sense for Tyson Fury to fight Ajit Kabiel before a shot at Anthony Joshua? You know, make it make sense. Make it make sense. It's almost like Frank Warren wants to do everything he can to derail the Tyson Fury versus AJ fight from happening. I mean, that's just the way I see it. It's like the way he be playing his hand. Cam J, you said, yep, Parker, then Zhang. 2 back-to-back bangers. Yes, sir. Yeah, Cam J, it's definitely going to be tough, fam. It's going to be a tough one for sure. So since I'm speaking a little bit about AJ, let's just talk about something I want to touch up on because shout outs to Jab Queen Boxing. She talked about it as well. Is that we can't sit around here and point the finger at Anthony Joshua like, oh man, you fought Jake Paul, you went 6 rounds, but then Ngannou only lasted so many half the amount of rounds, like lasted 2 or 3 rounds, but then you got Jake out of there in 6 rounds. Well, people have to understand the mindset of Ngannou and the mindset of Jake Paul is 2 different things. It's 2 different mindsets, and once again, styles make fights. When Ngannou came in there, he had every intention on trying to knock out Anthony Joshua. He said it over and over again. He thought AJ couldn't take a punch, so he said, I want to test AJ's chin. That's what Francis Ngannou kept saying. Now, Jake Paul, he was trying to talk like Ngannou, but he wasn't willing to actually put the action behind it like Ngannou. Ngannou went in there on his shield to say, I'm going to try to knock out Anthony Joshua or I'm going to get knocked out. What Jake Paul did was running around the ring soon as the beginning bell happened. He went straight towards the ropes and ran around the perimeter of the big boxing ring. So what people get misconstrued is, we have to bring this up now, is the sweet science, the art of hit and don't get hit versus running. Running is not the sweet science. Running is not the art of hit and don't get hit. Usyk is a prime example. Hit the thumbs up, please. Usyk is a prime example of the sweet science. Tyson Fury is an example of the sweet science. These guys are on their back foot. They have head movement. They may move laterally, but they're also punching. If you look at their punch stats, you will see there is a significant punch output by Usyk and Tyson Fury in their fights. What Jake Paul did was not the sweet science. So we have to stop the nonsense. It's not. That is not the sweet science of boxing. Running to survive, falling to the ground so you don't get hit by Anthony Joshua, that is not the sweet science of boxing. That's just taking what William Skoll did versus Canelo Alvarez and amplifying it. You did what William Skoll did and even look worse at doing it. At least William Skoll would punch here and there when he was running. You literally was falling to the canvas. You know, you was falling to the canvas more than a toddler. That's not the sweet science, y'all. That is not the sweet science of boxing, and I'm not gonna let nobody sit here. You know, sometimes I'll be passive on certain points, but I'm standing 10 toes down on that point. That is not the sweet science of boxing. What Jake did was BS. And a lot of people spent their money, and the fact that they paid their money, they should have got a more exciting fight. Now, I'm not saying go balls to the wall with Anthony Joshua. Don't be a fool. Yeah, he's a very dangerous punching heavyweight. But you could stick and move. You didn't even try to. You didn't even try to stick and move. You literally ran, and every time you get to the corner, and then when AJ came towards you, every blue moon, you might throw a punch. And you did land maybe one really, really good punch that AJ ate it up. Oh, man. That's not the sweet science, ladies and gentlemen. And don't let nobody make you believe or try to embed it in your mind that that was the sweet science. That was terrible. That was terrible. And the fight ended like I thought it would end. Yeah, we thought it would happen earlier, that AJ would stop him earlier, but we understand why. It's harder to knock out a target that's constantly running and moving like that. Few other examples, like I said. Look at Canelo. He couldn't stop William Skoll. Why? Because William Skoll was trying to survive. So Canelo could not stop him. Now, Canelo was able to stop Caleb Plant because that's the sweet science. Caleb Plant was hitting and don't get hit. But eventually, when he got caught enough and the pressure came late, Canelo stopped him. But Canelo couldn't do that with Skoll because Skoll was trying to survive. Another example, I'm pretty sure Cam J would remember, but Boots Ennis fought a fight. He couldn't stop that opponent, and he said after the fight, I'm sorry, y'all, but dude just kept trying to survive. Dude was running around the ring. I forget the opponent, but it was a certain opponent that Boots Ennis had fought, and he was in there trying to survive. So Boots Ennis could not stop him. So when your opponent is trying to survive, please understand it will make, yeah, that was Karen. Yep, that was Karen. So them are a couple examples, y'all, that if a person's in there and their whole idea is just to survive against their opposition, chances are they're going to survive. They're going to do whatever it takes. They're going to keep clinching. They're going to keep trying to do little things, running and clinching and all the little small antics to not to not get served. And that's what you had with Jake Paul. But eventually, once he started to tire himself out, because he thought probably if I keep running, Anthony Joshua was going to slow down, and then I can probably sneak in a couple of hits. It backfired. You trying to run around the ring, and you tire yourself out. And then AJ catches you up against the ropes in that corner and throws a punch to the body with a left and then comes up with that right. And it was very, very precise. Very, very accurate. Merry Christmas, Mike Ware. Merry Christmas. Everybody, please hit thumbs up for me. Just take a quick second. Hit thumbs up. Also, hype up the video. Hype up this video, please. All right, so February 21st, Wood versus Warrington 2. They added Dave Allen to that card for February the 21st of next year. So not too far from now, we'll be stepping into another year. And in February, there's a couple of good fights going down. Wood versus Warrington 2. Clarissa Shields versus Franchon Cruz Dezern in Detroit, Michigan. I just saw some footage of Clarissa Shields on the pads. I've seen two different clips. So two different times. She looks good. Clarissa Shields is looking good, y'all. I don't necessarily always care for the way she may act or some of the way she always talking about fighting men and then some of the things she might have said about different other fighters or whatever. But she's looking good for the Franchon fight. That right hand was looking really crispy with a lot of power. And she was turning that punch over. If you look at that footage, if you just look up recent footage of Clarissa Shields on YouTube workout, she's turning that punch over. This is gonna be a good fight with her and Franchon. I gotta see what footage they have of Franchon. And but man, this is gonna be a good fight. That's gonna be a good fight right there. And speaking of women's boxing, I seen an interview with on Get It Out the Mud with they had Alicia Baumgartner on there. So she did her thing on the MVP card of Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua down in Miami. And she looked real sharp. She dominated her opponent as she should. So she looked real good. She looked real sharp. Now, the only small issue, I don't want to seem like I'm nitpicking, but it seems like sometimes Alicia Baumgartner's head is on the center line too much. I like to see a little bit more head movement, a little bit. Because when I look at her fight, and then I look at Caroline Dubois, it seemed like Caroline Dubois was being very, very smart defensively. I liked the way she was moving her feet. I liked the way she would get out of the line of fire of her opponent. So I see Caroline Dubois definitely starting to develop. And like I say, I like her defensive prowess. I like a fighter who has power and know that they're dangerous. But I also like it when a dangerous fighter is responsible enough to try to watch for the opponent that's going to fire back at them. And I see Caroline Dubois being very defensively sound. And that's going to benefit her. At 135, I think after a handful more of fights at 135, Caroline Dubois and Alicia Baumgartner can get it on. That shouldn't be no big deal for Alicia Baumgartner to go up 5 pounds to fight Caroline Dubois. Alicia Baumgartner is, as we take notice to the obvious, She's very sculpted, very well. Her shape and everything. Well, I can see her easily picking up 5 pounds of muscle and fighting Carolyn Dubois in the future. That's a fight that we want to see. Now, do y'all think that fight will ever materialize? Maybe like in 2027? Will we see Carolyn Dubois versus Alicia the bomb Baumgartner? And if we do see Alicia versus Carolyn Dubois, it's going to be interesting because, you know, I think fight by fight, Carolyn Dubois is going to get better and better. She already has power, and to her advantage, she's a southpaw. So I think that would be beneficial for Carolyn Dubois as well. They both got power. So that's going to be a good fight and a good build up for a potential fight in the future. Um, oh, let me talk about this too. A lot of people, of course, when you talk about AJ or Fury, if you're talking about AJ, most people bring up Fury. If you talk about Fury, people bring up AJ, right? So let me kind of also talk about another talking point. Now, I want to know what y'all feel about this too. Because, like I say, all opinions matter as long as it's a respectful opinion. All opinion matters. So, people have been up in arms and going off on Anthony Joshua about the Jake Paul fight. So, there's a little bit of a backlash to an extent, but I think it kind of balances out because a lot of people over here in America, a lot more people are privy now to who Anthony Joshua is. My sister likes boxing. You know, she doesn't look at boxing on the level that I do, like on a purist level, as a boxing purist or a person who does a lot of research, but she does know who some of the bigger boxer names are. Well, she didn't know who Anthony Joshua was until this fight on Netflix here recently. So there's a lot of people like that to where they're just getting hip to him over here in America. So that's a good thing actually that AJ had made another debut over here in America. So from a marketing standpoint, it's going to do him some good. Now, speaking of that though, like I said, people giving AJ stick for fighting Jake Fury. Jake Paul. Is that y'all have so much to say about that, right? But very few had anything to say when Fury fought Francis Ngannou. And at the time, Fury was active WBC champ. I want to say the lineal and the WBC champ. And he fought Francis Ngannou. He took a fight with Francis Ngannou, a novice coming from MMA, when he could have fought other boxing names. But y'all had very little to say about when Tyson Fury pulled that mess. Now here you got AJ, who, mind you, doesn't have any belts. He has no belts. But then y'all talking about, oh, why would AJ fight somebody like Jake Paul? Blah, blah, blah. Come on, man. Keep the same energy. Because like I said, AJ's not holding up the belt right now. He's not milking any belts. He don't have no belts. So what is the problem here? He just doing something to stay active, and he's going to plan to fight another warm-up fight in 2026, in the beginning of 2026, and then he'll be ready for the Tyson Fury fight. That's if Tyson Fury has the same energy to want to fight Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua has called him out again, so we'll see if Fury and his team will get the paperwork and get the ink, the uh, the pen ink to paper. So I talked a little bit about Shakur Stevenson earlier on the Art of Dialogue interviews, and like I said about the Tank situation, that he said he made it happen with Tefime Lopez, but did he have the same energy with Tank Davis to make the Tank Davis fight happen? Why was he willing to make and take extra initiative to fight Lopez, but you didn't take the same initiative or extra steps to want to fight Tank Davis? That is the question being asked, and that is something that Cam J had talked about that I kind of wanted to just reiterate to see what people have to say about that aspect. But speaking of Shakur versus Tefime, how do y'all see that fight going? How do y'all see that fight going? Um, I'm going to say 50-50. I still haven't made up my mind fully. But like I said, I have a case on both sides. I can see where Shakur can make it a boring fight where he could win on points. But if he tries to come at him like he did Zepeda, I can see him getting caught with something a lot worse from Tefime if he tries to fight like Zepeda. But he said after Zepeda, that's not the type of fight he wants to fight ever again. So we may not ever see that type of Shakur Stevenson. The Shakur Stevenson we saw versus Zepeda, we may not ever see that version of him because he doesn't like getting hit like that. And he said that himself. So yeah, let me know what y'all think as far as that. I also saw an interview maybe like last week with Richardson Hitchens on a podcast with I think of the podcast name. My mind. With Brian Custer. So The Last Stand, Brian Custer. So Richardson Hitchens said he's one of the top dogs at 140. He said that Frank Martin can say what he wants to say. Pretty much that Frank Martin can get the smoke as well. And as far as these guys at 140, Richardson Hitchens said, line them on up. You know what I'm saying? Like he wants to smoke with all these guys at 140. Africa, he's good. Does he think that he's better than what he is the question. We understand what he did to Cambosis, but we also saw what Devin Haney did to Cambosis twice. So I don't know. What is y'all feelings on Richardson Hitchens? And like I said, I think eventually here, hopefully by next year, we could see Hitchens versus Frank Martin, or Hitchens versus Keyshawn Davis, or Keyshawn Davis versus Frank Martin. You know, there's a lot of good things that can happen at 140. Meanwhile, while Lamont Roach Jr. is healing his hand, you know, Pitbull Cruz will need a dancing partner. So let's keep Pitbull Cruz active. Who will he fight next? You know, I like the 140-pound division for sure. A lot of good talent down there. Please hit the thumbs up. And like I said, if you're on Twitter, please follow my Twitter page. Follow me also on TikTok. Let me look up my Twitter name real quick to make it easy for those who may be wondering what it says on Twitter. Or X, it's the same thing. Twitter is X. Um, the @ sign Ring Walk BP. The @ sign Ring Walk BP is one word. B as in Brian, P as in Paul. Ring Walk BP with the @ sign in front. That's me on Twitter. So follow my Twitter page. On TikTok, it's the @ sign BEANLOWERY @Bean Laurie. That's me on TikTok. So please follow my TikTok. Please follow my Twitter X page, my X Twitter page. So wherever you are, if you do celebrate Christmas, hopefully you're spending some valuable family time. Family is everything. So hopefully you're with your family. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, you're with family or your loved ones, and you're enjoying yourself. The NUA fight will be this weekend, so I will be tuning into that because I may have seen him fight only once or twice, and I know he's revered as being a beast in that ring. So I want to definitely check out this fight. I believe his opponent was Picasso, who I wasn't too privy to. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good fight this weekend. Inoue versus Picasso. It'll be for the undisputed super bantamweight title. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And what do y'all think about this one? Inoue and Picasso. And then Hamza Shiraz is slated to fight Diego Pacheco for the vacant WBO super middleweight title, as ordered by the WBO after Crawford's retirement. But they say he also has a potential WBC title shot against Christian Mbili. But I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, the Diego Pacheco versus Shiraz is, I believe, it's confirmed. Is it confirmed, Cam J? If you're still there, or Mike Ware? Is it confirmed? Pacheco versus Hamza Shiraz. I won't be on here too much longer because I know it's Christmas Day, so people probably with their families, they be cooking their Christmas dinners and stuff like that, preparing their Christmas dinner, opening their gifts, stuff like that. Also, there's some. If you look up Shakur Stevenson, there is some footage of him on something that came out last week. I think it was pertaining to the training for the Teofimo Lopez fight. Let me see real quick what the name is under. Okay, it's under SS Evolution Shakur versus Tio. It's like 34 minutes of Shakur Stevenson as he gets ready for his fight with Teofimo Lopez. Hold on, I'm gonna try to show you a quick clip before I end this segment for today. So yeah, go on YouTube and look up S as in Sam, two S's, S as in Sam, Evolution, Shakur versus Tio. And it'll be on the Shakur Stevenson TV. I think this is Shakur's, has his own YouTube channel because it says Shakur Stevenson TV and you can subscribe. So yeah, that's what it is, y'all. So let me know y'all predictions, your opinions on today's show down in the chat or in the comment section. Please hit that thumbs up button. It's free to hit thumbs up. It's also free to hit subscribe. It's also free to slide your finger across in the comment and hit the hype button. So if you could do that for me, it would be greatly appreciated. I appreciate everybody who pulled up at Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. Like I say, shout outs again to Cam J Network. Shout outs to Mike Ware. And shout outs to all the people who subscribe, all the people who view, all the people who show support to Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. If you would like to make any donation, we have a link tree in the below in the description area. We have a Venmo. Any donation to help the channel grow is appreciated. Also, we have a clothing line. Like I say, I got the hats here. Different variation of colors. We got the shirts. We got hoodies. And and that's what's up, you know. So everyone have a good holiday and a happy new year. I will probably do a show next week, one or two at some point. I'm gonna definitely be doing my Sunday show this Sunday, but next week, maybe New Year's Eve, I might do another show. To kind of get people's opinions on, you know, some things. So have a good holiday. Y'all be safe, and I'll catch you on the next round. Peace.